elected to go into self-isolation today as a chronic asthmatic, it seemed like a prudent method. So today we're going to do I will use the word basic, loosely, Pilates workout, which will not involve any props, just using your own body, thinking of developing your awareness and your strength from the outside in. In these uncertain times, it's really important to look after yourself, to do things that make you feel good and that will enhance your health. If you are receiving this link, it's because you have asked for it. These are very challenging times for those of us who are self-employed. My employment is tenuous. If you do think you can afford to make a small koha for these videos, please do message me and I'll happily give you my bank details. However, if you yourself are really struggling and you don't think that you'll be able to, please just enjoy this and trust that you can pay it forward in the future. Alright, so I have with me a small hand towel. A little cushion will do the same thing, and this is the only prop that we're going to use in this workout today. Right, we are going to start lying down onto our backs. We've got the towel or cushion underneath your head, just to think of allowing us to bring our spine into a nice neutral position. So we really want to think of honouring that little curve in the back of your neck, allowing the entire mass of your rib cage to be nice and heavy to the floor, that little space or curve for your lumbar spine, and then we want to feel your pelvis nice and heavy down into the mat. If you're not sure if you're in neutral, there are a couple of really easy ways to check this. One is from the back, so you can take your fingertips and just slide them into that little curve, and you should just be able to get your fingertips to your spine but not beyond. So I can probably relax my ribs down a little bit more here. The other way is if you make a triangle with your hands and then place the heels of your hands onto your hip bones, your ASIS bones in the front, and your fingertips onto your pubic bone. That shape should feel nice and flat. So we're going to start with a nice breathing sequence here today to really think of allowing our abdominals to be supported by our breath, and just find the way that that breath connects into how we support your spine. To begin with, we're going to take one hand onto your chest, the other hand just below your belly button, and we're going to take 4 breaths breathing into the depth and the height of your torso. So I will be talking, you will be breathing. On your inhale, we want to think about your chest and your belly rising. And then as we exhale, those deep abdominal muscles are just gently going to start to melt in towards your spine. Breathing in, we're going to think about that breath widening into the back of your ribs and the back of your hips as well. And then as we exhale, we just gently feel those 2 points sink back down. We have 2 more breaths here, breathing into that depth and that height, and then breathing out to let that go. And then last one, nice deep breath in. Relaxing that all the way out, and then we bring your hands to either side of your rib cage. So from here we take a nice wide breath. So we're going to visualize your ribs opening like a big piano accordion. You can also visualize your hip bones widening slightly. And then as we breathe out, those bones just gently sink back down. 3 more breaths here, breathing in. And then breathing out to let that release. Imagine your armpits growing a little wider as you breathe that space into your body. And then exhaling to let that go. And then last one here, deep breath in. Breathing out. And then from here, one hand is going to come up to your collarbone, so right up at the base of your neck. Other hand is going to come right down by your pubic bone. So from here we breathe length into your spine. As we inhale, we're going to visualize your spine getting a little longer. And then as we exhale, we feel those discs just gently melt in slightly. So as we breathe in, we are lengthening those spaces between your bones, allowing those discs to get a little juicier. And then we exhale to let that go. Twice more here. Long, deep breath. Breathing in and out through your nose is an excellent way to calm your sympathetic nervous system, bringing us into that nice rest and digest state. And then from here, both hands are going to come just below your belly button, and we're going to think about breathing evenly into all three of those dimensions. So as we inhale, we allow your torso to expand front, side, and back. And then as we exhale, we gently allow those abdominal muscles to wrap in towards your spine. Breathing in. Check in with your jaw here, folks. Make sure that you're not clenching your teeth together. If you're not sure, you can try a little push of your tongue just up behind your teeth and your alveolar ridge. That will automatically make sure that your jaw is just in chill mode. Last one. And then exhaling to let that go. Alrighty, from here, we are going to imagine that you have a glass of champagne resting on each hip bone, or insert your beverage of choice here. Nice strong cup of coffee will always do it for me. On our inhale, we allow your right thigh bone to go for a little drop just towards your shoulder. And then as we exhale, your inner thigh muscles bring that leg back into the center. As we inhale, we're going to breathe into the back of our ribs. And then as we exhale, we feel those abdominal muscles drawing in slightly more. Inhaling to open right leg, and then exhale to hug in. So what we're doing here with this seemingly very simple movement is encouraging the stability of your spine and the activation of your deep abdominal muscles. If you can feel any movement in your pelvis as you're moving your leg from side to side, we just make this movement a tiny bit smaller. So if you are a little bit unstable, you may even just be moving 5 to 10 degrees. So from here we inhale, and as we exhale, we are sliding your right heel in a straight line along the mat. And then we inhale to fold that leg all the way back in. Other side. As we push that heel along the floor, I want you to see if you can draw your sit bone to the midline, and then that sit bone will widen out slightly as we glide back in. Exhaling, sliding with your right leg. As that sit bone draws in, your inner thigh muscles will spiral from your knee to your hip, and then that motion reverses as we come back. Exhale, gliding along the floor, and then inhale, folding back in. We have 4 more of these. So you'll notice that I'm sliding with a flexed foot. In more traditional Pilates, people point their feet all the time, which obviously looks prettier, but a flexed foot really helps us to connect into the glutes and the back of the leg. So it's just a little bit more functional for now. And then from here we take a nice deep breath in. As we exhale, we're going to commit your left heel to the floor, fold your right leg into what we call tabletop, or 90 degrees. Just checking that my leg is at 90 degrees. And then we inhale to lower that leg without changing your spine. Other side, exhale to fold that leg up, and then inhale to arc that thigh bone away. Again, as your leg folds to tabletop, your sit bone is going to widen slightly. As it lowers, it narrows. Exhale to fold it, and then inhale to lower. Again, check in with your jaw. Check that your shoulders are staying nice and open. You can either have your palms facing up or down here. Facing down will give you a little bit more connection into the backs of your arms and shoulders. Facing up will just allow your pectoral muscles, those muscles in your chest, to release. As you're lifting your foot, make sure that you are keeping your toes going straight up to the ceiling rather than letting them fan out to the side, which is very easy to do, particularly for those of us who've done many years of ballet. And then we relax that leg all the way back down. We're going to interlace our hands behind the backs of our heads, thinking of your elbows being just in your periphery. So when we have this wide coat hanger position with our arms, it allows our shoulder blades to hug around our rib cage rather than squeezing together and letting everything go splat. Exaggerating for effect there, but hopefully you get the picture. We have your favourite piece of stone fruit that has been washed very thoroughly underneath your chin. We inhale to prepare. As we exhale, your breastbone melts forward. We allow your rib cage to come into a little tip forward, finding our abdominal curl. And then we inhale to lengthen through your spine, drawing those abdominals in as we lower. Exhaling, heavy head in your hands. And then inhaling to lengthen back down to the floor. As we're curling up, there is $1 million check underneath your tailbone. If you lose your check, it goes to me. And trust me, I could use $1 million right now. So we're keeping that nice neutral curve. As we lengthen back into neutral, we're going to keep a big Wednesday ticket underneath those last 2 ribs. We're doing 3 more of these. Last 2. So we're lengthening your abdominals as we come up rather than letting them sneak forward. See if I can do one of those. When we let them sneak out, we are going to be pulling on your back extensors. So if you're not able to lift without those abs coming up, we maybe make this movement a little bit smaller. We'll do 1 more of these for good measure. So from here, we're going to hold at the top. We inhale. As we exhale, we fold your right leg to tabletop. And then we inhale to lower that foot. Other side. Exhale, folding to your tabletop. And inhale, lower. Exhale, pushing through that heel. And inhale, coming down. Exhale, lift. And inhale, lower. 4 more there. You want to commit that weight to your supporting heel. Find that heel attaching to that sit bone so that will hug into your center line. And then from here, we're going to think about your opposite armpit reaching across to your opposite thigh bone. So we're staying in that abdominal curl. As we come up and across, your head continues to be heavy in your hands rather than pulling your neck. We have 4 more of these. 3 more. Last one here. Just lower down for a moment to take a little breather. From here we inhale. As we exhale, we fold your right leg to your tabletop. We inhale, we exhale, we fold your left leg to your tabletop. Breathing in, and then as we breathe out, we find that abdominal curl once more. From here, we exhale, lower right heel, and inhale lift. Exhale, lower, and then inhale, fold. If you start to find that the fronts of your hips and your quads, your thigh muscles in the front, are starting to grab here, you can choose to relax your heels down towards your hips, which will encourage us to use the backs of our legs more. The longer this lever is, the harder those abs will have to work. However, if we're using the wrong muscles, we definitely want to go a little bit shorter. Once again, we're adding that abdominal twist. So we go across and center. As we start to add a little bit more height, you are definitely going to find it a little bit more challenging to keep your pelvis stable, to keep our champagne glasses or your double espressos on each hip. I probably shouldn't say double espresso right now for those of us in isolation without espresso machines. Nice strong plunger coffee. We've already had 2 of those this morning. And then from here we extend your opposite leg away from you. So again, if you feel your abdominal muscles starting to do a little pooch up to the ceiling, we're going to extend that leg a little higher, or just to the height that we can control without letting that change. And then from here we're going to make this movement a little bit more dynamic. So we switch, staying up in that ab curl, sinking that belly to the floor. 4 more here, make sure you're still breathing. 2 more. Nice work. Lengthen your legs out along the mat. Reach your arms overhead. You can make like a Russian gymnast for a moment and let those ribs pop towards the ceiling. Sorry, I'm always hating on Russian gymnasts. Love you really. And then relax those arms down and just let everything go for a moment. Hopefully we felt a little bit of a burn growing in those abdominals. Alright, so for this next series, I'm going to get you to take your towel away from your head. We are going to be coming into a little bit of hip flexion, lifting and lowering, and it can just put a wee bit of strain on your neck if you have anything underneath it. So I will sneak this guy away for safekeeping. Feet are going to be hips distance apart. If you're not quite sure where hips distance is, for most of us, if you take your fist, put your fist between your knees, that will be about that distance. And then we want to have that same distance between your feet. You don't have to do what I just did. Okay, so we want to have all 10 of your toes facing straight forward. We're creating that little curve in your lumbar spine once again. We're going to start with your hands down onto the floor. We're going to inhale to prepare. As we exhale, we commit your heels into the floor, and then we're folding your hips up in one piece. And then we inhale, relax the fronts of your hips to come straight down. So we're moving like a drawbridge. We exhale, fold and lift, and then inhale to release. Committing those heels to the floor and then lowering. If you're feeling really stable here, you can hug your arms into what we call a hug a tree position, or for those of you from a dance background, you'll know this as first or mid-fifth, depending on where you are in the world. 2 more here. We're going to hold this last one at the top. From here, we go for a little dip of your right hip and then reconnect under that sit bone. So we're going for a little twist of your pelvis from side to side. You'll see that this is really small. So we're releasing that sit bone and then reconnecting underneath it. 3 more here. Pausing. Inhale, exhale, come down, just take a moment. We inhale, as we exhale, we hinge up once again. Your option is to repeat those little dips that we've just done, or if it's available, arms either down or up, we exhale, we fold one leg to your tabletop, and then inhale, stand on that foot. Other side, exhale to commit that heel to the floor, fold that leg in, and then inhale to lower. Exhale, lift, and inhale, release. Exhale to fold. Inhale, stand on it. 4 more. Exhaling to lift and inhale to lower. 2 more here. Last one, option to lower your hips down, or if it's available, we turn that thigh bone out without changing your hips and then roll that leg in. We open and we close. Little rotation from deep in that hip socket. Your supporting hip should be feeling like it's doing quite a bit of work. We have 4 more here. And 3. If you've chosen to come down, make sure you're counting so we do the same number on the other side. Lower that leg. If you need, come down and take a little break. If you're a ninja, you can stay up there. Exhale, hinge up. Other side. So this is my wonky side. The more astute of you may be able to see that it's a bit more of a struggle for me to keep my pelvis straight. I have torn cartilage in this left hip, so it can be a little bit interesting, but for the most part we carry on. We're just doing 2 more of these. And then last one, lower leg, inhale, as we exhale, lower hips to the floor, rest your arms, breathe out. I hope you were breathing. Alrighty, so this next series is similar to what we've just done, but instead of moving from our hips in a straight line up and down, we're going to be articulating through our spines. So in some circles, these are known as spine curls or bridging. Again, depends on the individual teacher's Pilates background. So again, your feet are going to be hips distance apart. If you do have a small ball at home that you're able to put between your inner thighs, that can just help to give you a little bit of awareness as to where you are in space. If you don't panic. There's just a little added layer to help us here. So we will have our hands planted down onto the floor, or palms turning up if that feels better for your shoulders. We inhale. As we exhale, we scoop your belly, your tailbone tucks under, and then we're picking up one vertebrae at a time as we roll up to that same diagonal. We inhale. As we exhale here, we melt your breastbone, and then we start to lengthen one bone at a time all the way back down to the mat. Inhaling. As we exhale, we scoop your belly, your tail tucks under. We're drawing your sit bones together as you peel up through your spine, feeling those inner thighs wrapping forward. And then we inhale, melt your breastbone, lengthening all the way back. Very common occurrence as we come into both the hip hinges that we just did and your spine curls is to get a little bit of cramp in your hamstrings. If that is happening for you, that's a sign that those glutes are just being a little bit slow to the party. So we really want to think of initiating this movement with that draw together of those sit bones, those pointy bones at the very bottom of your pelvis, the ones that we sit on. So we're just going to do 2 more of these lovely spine curls. Check as you're rolling that both sides of your spine are coming into contact with the mat at the same time. If you're a little bit asymmetrical, you may be able to feel like one side is leading away slightly. And or as you come to your pelvis, you might feel like you have a little kind of seesaw action as your hips hit the ground. So you can think of this as an exploration as well as an exercise. On this next one, we're going to come up to the top and we stay here. As we inhale, heavy arms, we're going to float your arms up and back overhead, just as far as we can go without your shoulders exploding. So you want to be able to see your fingers in your periphery. Then we exhale, rolling through your spine, leaving your arms where they are, and inhale to lower your arms. Exhale, scooping your belly, tail tucks under, peeling up bone by bone, just to the tips of your shoulders. Inhale, arms tip up and back. As we exhale and roll down through your spine, we're creating a little bit of tractioning or a little stretch for your spine, which will hopefully feel quite nice. We're just going to do 2 more of these. Tail tucks under, rolling through your spine. Inhale, arms come up and back, and then melting your breastbone. Last one here, sit bones draw together, thigh bones will reach forward. So think of your knees scaling up to where the corner of your wall and your ceiling meet. Nice work, guys. All right, so from here we're going to take a little release. So these are called either hip rolls or knee sways, again, depending on your persuasion. I'm bringing my legs all the way in together this time. I'm going to bring your arms into a T shape, so they're just under your shoulders. On our inhale, we're going to tip your knees towards your screen, your head away from your screen, to come into a little twist of your spine. As we exhale, we allow your obliques to guide us back into the center, those side tummy muscles. Other side, inhale, going for that nice little tip. How far do you go? You go as far as feels comfortable in your body. So even if it's just a few degrees, if that's your range of motion today, then that's your range of motion today, and we work from where you are. We're going to do 1 more of these each way. So we're just getting a nice little dynamic stretch for your spine. You may feel this slightly in your hips as well. If you don't, no drama. Alrighty, and then from here, we're going to roll all the way over onto your side. I'm just going to reposition myself slightly so I can make sure I can be seen. Alrighty, so finding our trusty towel once again. We're going to lie onto your side. We're going to place your towel between your ear and your shoulder. And we want to think of making, excuse my belly, a little mouse hole underneath your waist. So we should be able to slide your hand underneath there. I know we're aiming for predator-free Wellington, so maybe, I don't know, an Easter egg, something more appealing. Take your hand to your top hip, and we're going to think about that hip moving away from your armpit. So our feet are flexed, our heels are stacked, and our top hand is going to come down to the floor to stabilise. So from here we inhale to prepare, and as we exhale we have a little squeeze of your heel to lift your top thigh bone, and then we inhale to lower. So we're starting to work into our deep rotator muscles and your glutes. Really important for supporting our leg alignment when we're walking, when we're dancing, when we're doing whatever it is we're doing. Running back and forward up and down your apartment, hopefully not. So these are called clams or oysters in some fancier circles. If you want to check that you're maintaining that nice neutral spine, a good way to do this is up against a wall. And then from here, your underneath heel is going to kick your top leg out of the way. And then we lower. So we're finding that nice bit of rotation in those hips. The heavier we can make your legs, the harder Those hips are going to have to work. So again, you will often see these done with pretty pointed feet, but if you try both ways, I'll almost guarantee that you'll find with your feet flexed, you will feel it more. From here, we're going to have a little leprechaun moment. So we extend just from your knee, and then we fold down. So we exhale, inhale, pushing out through that heel, and then closing, reaching away. We have 4 more of these. And you'll notice that for some of these, I'm moving quite slowly, so we can really find that correct muscle activation. For some of them, we will move a little bit more dynamically, as we did with our crisscross. And then we're going to close that heel in, keeping that underneath heel up, we lower and we lift. So I'm thinking about the headlights on my hips, my hip bones shining straight forward. It's really tempting to let that top hip swing back to eke out a little bit more range of motion, but we will actively resist that temptation. 3 more of these. 2 more here. And then last one. Lower your legs all the way down. Give your hip a little bit of love. You're probably starting to feel a bit of a burn there. So we're going to do a little bit of inner thigh work here, folks. If you have somewhat delicate knees, I would recommend that you get a pillow to put underneath your knee and have your top leg here. You could even fold that pillow in half if you need. For now, so it's a little easier for you to see, I'm going to place my heel forward above my opposite knee. I'm just going to scoot down a little bit so you can see my lower leg. You won't be able to see my face, but you'll still be able to hear me. More. Okay, so from here, again, I'm going to flex my underneath foot. Kneecap is going to be facing straight forward. So as I exhale, I'm going to lengthen my legs so much it has no option but to come up. And then inhale to lower. Your top leg is going to be either pushing into the floor or into your cushions. So we're going to start to feel how we work those inner thighs or those adductor muscles as a team. We're going to do 4 more of these nice and slow and steady. And we're relaxing your leg all the way down to the floor in between each rep. And then we're going to hold your leg up and we pulse a little higher, a little faster, like you're bouncing a ball off your heel. If you were a teenager in the 90s, this may remind you of hacky sack days. And then from here we point and we flex, keeping that lift of your leg. As we point your foot, we are lengthening through the front of your leg. As we flex, we are lengthening through the back. We go 4 and 3 and 2, and then keeping your foot flexed, we're drawing 8 little circles in each direction with your heel, just around the top of a glass. And then we reverse, lengthening through that heel, just 4 more. Then we lift that leg a centimetre and relax that all the way down. I'm scooching a little bit further back so you can see the top of me. So before we do all of that on our other side, taking your towel away, we're going to interlace your hands around your head. Another little twist for your spine. So we're going to look at your top elbow. As we inhale, we're going to follow that elbow with your eyes as we rotate your ribcage back just as far as feels comfortable. And then we exhale to close your book. So just as we did with your abdominal curls, I want you to think of your head pushing back into your hands rather than your hands pulling your neck forward. So we're just going to do 2 more of these. Your hips will stay quite steady. Your top hip can move back slightly, but if it goes too far, we won't get as much of a stretch. So before we do that on the other side, I'd like you just to take a moment to lie onto your backs and compare how your 2 hips are feeling. So you may notice a slight difference from one side to the other. As we're working in Pilates, we are working with creating space around your joints. So quite often you might feel as though a leg has got a little bit longer after we've done something, or an arm or a shoulder when we do upper body. But it may feel a little bit shorter if it's needed to kind of move back into that socket. So just take that moment to assess and see what's happened for you, and then we'll get set up on our other side. Moving to other end of mat. make sure you can see my legs. So my heels are in line with my sit bones. You can do these with your legs further forward or further back. Further forward is going to mean it's a little bit more work for glute med, the outer hip. Further back will mean it's a little bit more work for those deep rotators and those hip flexors, which can, and a lot of us get a little bossy, will help to switch off. But the middle one is kind of a good place to start. So again, mouse hole, hip away from rib cage, hand to floor to stabilize. So we exhale, lift, and then inhale, lower. Squeezing those heels together. We're accessing those deep rotator muscles in our hips. They're not just important for ballet dancers and people who need to turn their legs out a lot. They're really important for our functional movement, our walking, getting up and down out of chairs. Oh, there's the sun. Hello. I'm not complaining. We're all grateful for these things at the moment. And then we move to double clam. Just realised I didn't put any music on to do this video. You'll just have to listen to me for now. If you'd like to put your own playlist on, it's nice to have a bit of music in the background. Or it can be quite good just to listen to your body and feel that nice rhythm of your movement. I am a big Spotifyer. If you'd like to follow me on Spotify, if you're someone who comes to the studio and often says you like my music, I am just B. Lee Smith, all one word. And then we have our little leprechaun. Top of the morning to you. So I'm breathing out and then breathing in to come down. Good. 3 more here. Second side will often feel harder because we are already fatigued. I'm sorry, that's just how it goes. Doesn't seem fair, does it? All right. Give that hip a little bit of a rub. Foot is coming forward, or we're placing our cushions just in line with your hip. We're extending our underneath leg. Foot is flexed, scooching down. And then we exhale, lift, and inhale, lower. So make sure that your toes are going straight forward. I just had to correct my foot because I tend to want to be this way. Lengthening out. So you can literally imagine that someone is pulling your leg. And then we stay up there and we pulse for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I think we did 2 sets. We'll do another bonus one. And then we stretch. And we point. And you may get some little snap, crackle pops in your feet and your ankles. That's fine. Giant clunks are a different story for a different day. And then we circle around the shampoo bottle. And then once more we lift that leg a fraction higher and relax it all the way down. I'm going to come and do our, some people call these book openings, which is quite nice. Otherwise they're just arm clams, so basically clam what we've just been doing with your arms. So I've taken my towel away because I find that I have enough support for my head and neck without anything underneath here. If you are feeling like you're going a little bit off centre, you can keep that towel underneath your head. So we're going into that nice little opening. And then coming back. I did just get a little clunk in my spine, if you heard that. We don't ever want to force those things, but of course if they happen, they happen. Lucky last one. Alrighty, so come down and just take a moment to compare on your backs once again. See if anything may have adjusted for you having done that. All right, team, we're going to come on to our tummies. We're going to start to do a little bit of work for your hip extensors, aka your butt, and a little bit of work for our triceps, or the backs of our arms. So if you have your towel or your cushion, I'd recommend that you just give yourself a little bit of extra height for this, purely so you don't face plant the floor. as much as you can, keep your eyes down and just listen to the sonorous tones of my voice rather than turning your head to one side, just so we don't get any strain in your neck. So, finding the position where you can see my feet, first of all. My towel is going to be underneath my forehead, thus. Your arms can either be in a little, so this swiveling around so you can see me, cactus shape, like this, or you can make a pillow forward of your towel, whichever feels best in your shoulders. By the way, Pilates instructors, we never have good hair. Carrying on. So from here, as soon as we come into this prone position, we're going to automatically come into a little bit of an extension of your lower back. So in order to find our neutral once again, we're going to pick your belly up away from the floor, like there's a little ice cube underneath there. Drop your tail between your legs, naughty puppy position, just been caught getting into the rubbish. And then if we had a set of googly eyes on our heels, we want to turn those to face up towards the ceiling rather than going cross-eyed that way or turning your legs out like a ballet dancer. So we're in a nice lengthened position through our spines and through our legs. So we have 10 to 15% of pure hip extension, which is to say the ability to lift your leg off the floor without having to use your lower back. So these are really small. So we inhale to prepare, and then as we exhale, we lengthen your right leg so much it has no option but to come off the floor, and then we inhale to release. Left leg, exhale, lengthening to lift, and then inhale to lower. So we're reaching out through your heel. Somebody is pulling on your toenails to lift your legs. We are pointing or plantar flexing our feet for these, because if we flex our feet, we're not going to be able to come all the way back down to the floor. So we're just doing 4 more of these, gently moving from side to side. 1 more on each side. And then from here, we're going to carefully lengthen and lift one leg. Inhale, exhale, other leg comes up to meet it. And then we're going to rotate your thigh bones outwards. So we're going for a little beat together of your heels without your lower back moving. And then we flex your feet and we continue. So we're beating for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then flex. Keeping belly lifting away from the floor. So it should feel like a little bit of work for your core to maintain this movement of your legs. My knees are straight in my baggy sparkly pants. Last set. Then from there, we stretch your feet and we're drawing 4 little circles in each direction. And then we reverse. 4 more here. Lengthen those legs a fraction further and then relax them all the way down. Just to give your back extensors a little bit of a breather in case they did gate crash the party. Hands coming by our shoulders, and we're bringing our hips back into our child's pose here. If you're not comfortable in this position for any reason, another nice option for you can be to lie onto your back and hug your knees into your chest. Coming back onto our tummies. This time I'm just going to move back a little further so you can see my upper body, because we'll be focusing on the same thing. So we will set up the same way. Forehead is on your towel. We're lifting your belly away from the floor, tail between your legs, googly eyes on your heels to the ceiling, legs are long. But we're going to relax your arms down beside you and let your shoulders drop forward. So from here we take an inhale to prepare. As we exhale, we're lifting your arms as high as we can and then relaxing all the way back down. So we are isolating our triceps muscles, the backs of our arms. This rolled in or in-located position of your shoulders helps us to find those guys. We're going to make those arms super heavy and lazy. So we're doing 2 more, coming all the way up and all the way down. Then we're going to stay here and we just have a little pulse up to the ceiling for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, hold. And then we circle 8 times in each direction, widening through your collarbone. We circle back the other way. Lift your arms a centimetre higher and then relax them down to the floor. Inhale here. As we exhale, our collarbone widens, our shoulders lengthen, shoulder blades lengthen down your back, and we have long fingertips. On our inhale, we are painting a stripe up the wall in front of you to come into thoracic extension. So just moving from your rib cage, we don't want to come all the way up into your lower back. And then exhale to come back down. Inhale, fingertips lengthen back as the crown of your head, not your chin, lengthens you forward. And then we peel back down to the floor. Twice more, long line, feeling like the prow of a ship here. And then release. On this next one, we come up, reaching those arms away from us, and again we pulse for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Little circle of those arms, reaching back from your triceps, reversing long through those fingernails. And then we turn your palms to face down and up and down and up and down and up. Long through those arms, check the tops of those shoulders are gliding away from our ears. 2 more. Reach a little longer. Relax all the way down. Bring your hands by your shoulders, and we're coming back into our child's pose once again. Whew. Taking a couple of nice deep breaths into your back body here. So as you inhale, I want you to think of your back body being like the sail of a pirate ship filling with air. And then as we exhale, just let that go and see if your head and your tailbone can reach a little further away from each other. One more breath in. This time as we breathe out, we're going to ripple through your spine and come into our quadruped or our 4-point kneeling. So my hands are directly under my shoulders. My knees are directly underneath my hips. If anyone has issues being on their wrists, you can try doing these down on your forearms, or if you have a chair, a relatively low chair, you can make a little plank position. Imagine that's both of my arms resting on that. Likewise, if anyone has dubious knees, there is a way you can do this standing. So I'm just going to bring myself into this position. So if you're resting your arms on a bench top, that will just give you a little bit more support. It's more challenging for your lower body, but we don't get that same amount of integration. So there are benefits of doing both. I'll be demonstrating from here today. So from here, we are going to think about having your hands slightly forward of your shoulders and then a slight internal rotation, or your fingertips going towards your midline rather than here or here. Little soften of your elbows. Our hips are right above our knees. We inhale to prepare, and as we exhale, we scoop your belly, tuck your tail under, and come into a nice angry cat shape. And then we inhale, we lengthen from your tailbone, and just peel forward into a little bit of extension. Exhaling, scooping to tuck your tail under, rolling through your spine. And then inhale, lifting your tail, peeling through your vertebrae, one by one to extend. Twice more, exhaling, finding your flexion or your forward bending of your spine. And then inhale, lifting your tail to reach up, out and away. And then coming back to settle in the center. From here we inhale. As we exhale, we are extending your right arm, right leg along the mat. And then coming back. If you have access to a little ball or something that you can place into your lower back, that is a good way of checking that we are staying in neutral. If you are not staying in neutral, you'll lose your ball. Nobody likes to lose their ball. We're going to do one more of these, and then we're going to advance. So we're going to go for a lengthen to lift opposite arm and leg all the way off the floor. So we're accessing that cross connection right through your body. So your lats and your serratus underneath your armpits wrap down to connect into your obliques, your side tummy muscles. They continue to wrap down to connect all the way to your inner thigh muscles and connect right down into your big toe. You'll also notice that I still have my toes tucked in 4-point kneel and flexed feet. On this next one, we are pausing. We tap arm and leg to the floor and we lift. We lower and lift. We are lifting from the back of your hip. We are not going into a big penché. For those of you who know ballet, this is for your glutes, not your back. Holding this next one up, we have a little pulse for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Pause here. Hamstring curl and bicep curl. And then stretch. If this is too much with the arm and the leg, hand can come back down to the floor. So we're getting a lengthening of your quads as we bend, extending of your hamstrings, and then we're reversing as we come away. We have just 2 more of these. And then we hold this bent in and we pulse that to the ceiling for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Lift a centimetre more. Relax that down and just come off your wrists for a moment. Give them a little bit of a circle out. You can do a little reverse prayer here just to get a stretch through those muscles in your forearms. And then we do the other side. Pull. Opposite arm and leg. So as we lift, our toes are going straight down to the floor. We're staying in our parallel. There are many different variations we can do here. So I've just chosen a couple for us today. Breathing out as we come up, in as we come down. And then from here, hamstring curl. So we're not using any props today, obviously, but there are also lots of ways that we can advance this with props. Either using a hand weight in your hand, you can have a band around your legs to add a little bit of extra resistance. So if you have access to those things, feel free to go ahead and add them in. And then we pulse for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We lift a centimetre higher. Relax that down and come back into your child's pose. Inhaling here, looking at the time. Exhale to roll yourselves up through your spines. Alrighty folks, so from here we are going to come back onto your hands. Toes are tucked under. Again, option to be on your forearms with your forearms on a chair, or you can even try this on the floor. That will just work things slightly different for you if this bothers your wrists. So from here we inhale. As we exhale, we're picking your knees up 2 centimetres and then we lower down. So we're keeping your neutral spine, just creating that little lift from those deep abdominals. If you're tucking your tail under, you will not feel those deep abs. So if you're not feeling this, try lifting your tail slightly higher. Happy puppy. Good. We do 2 more of these. And then we tap those knees down. And we're folding your elbows to the floor and then pushing away. So we're lengthening through your triceps and then contracting as we lift. We lower and push away. Folding in. So this is a modified tricep push-up. 3 more here. 2 more of these. And then we're going to alternate those movements. So we pick knees up, we put them down, and we bend, and we stretch. We lift, we lower, we bend, we straighten. Picking up, placing down, and bending, and straightening. And then we combine. So we fold and lift, and lower. You may not be able to go as far with those elbows. Reach and release. Exhale down, inhale up. 4 more here, and lower. 3 more. Pushing away. 2 more here. Last one. Come back into your child's pose for a moment. Deep breath in here. And then as we breathe out, we're all going to come onto our forearms now. Level 1, we're going to extend so we have your feet down on the floor. We're in a long diagonal line from your head down to your knees. Level 2, we tuck your toes and we're up in a full plank position. So we're going to think of pushing out through your heels, reaching out through the crown of your head and widening through your shoulders. So we're creating a nice 4-directional pull here. So from here we're coming onto a little rise of your toes and then pressing back. So imagine that you have a little passenger on your lower back here, reaching out and away, gliding forward and back. We have 3 more of these, and 2. And then we pause in the center and we have a little dip of your knees to the floor and lift. If you are on your knees, we're just going for a little dip and then come up. Or you can just hold. Reaching forward and back. Forward and back. 4 more of these. Little zip of those sit bones together here. 2 more. And then we pause and we just hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Relax your knees to the floor. And come back into your child's pose. Breathing in here for me, team. Breathe out to bring yourselves all the way up. So we are going to come into a little pretzel position to come into a mermaid to stretch. So there are some options here. This is our sort of classical Pilates mermaid position. Your front heel being forward, your other knee tucked back in. If this position bothers your hips, you can come to sit and cross-legged. If you're not good there, you can just find a nice symmetrical position, even if you want to sit on a chair and just do the upper body movement, just to get that nice stretch. Most important to work from where you're at today. So I will demonstrate from this one, but just bear in mind that we do have those options. We're going to hold on to your back leg with that same arm. We're going to lift up and out of your opposite side, coming into a nice side stretch. So you can either let your hand be in a more balletic position here, or if you push out through your palm, that will give you a little bit more of a stretch. And then inhale to come back. Port de bras, reaching up and over. And you can either turn your head down, look up at your arm, or look straight forward. Reaching up and over. Exhale, a little bit of work from those obliques to recover. On this next one, we come up and over. We're going to pivot around. If you're in this position, you can grab hold of your back leg. If you're in your cross-legged position, just bring your hands to where you have something to push into. And then we breathe into your back. And then we lengthen. Exhaling to come into a little flex of your spine. And then inhale to lengthen and see if you can twist a little deeper. 2 more here. Last one. Bring your legs around through the center, and then we will just do the same on your other side. Holding on to that shin bone if that's where you are, or you can place that hand to the floor, reaching up and out of your waist, and recovering. Port de bras, and release. Up, and recover. And you may find that you have a little bit more movement on one side than the other. We want to think about being straight on for this first set rather than rotating your spine and your rib cage. Sorry, I lost count. And then coming up and over. And we exhale, flex. Inhale, extend. Exhale, flex. Inhale, extend. Just 2 more of these ones. Lengthening out and away. Last one. And then pivoting yourselves back into the center. Thank you very much for joining me with this video, everyone. I hope that you are all staying safe and well, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Ka kite.